Hi, Robert. Hi. You are muted.
Is Rabbi Green there?
Okay, come on. Okay.
Good morning, Michael. Is Rabbi Green there, or you don't know?
No, he tried yesterday very hard, but I don't think it was turned on yesterday. After a while, I gave up. I did myself. I shut it off.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming on today.
I don't, it depends how he's feeling. Yesterday he was interested in the
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to do it myself. Have a good day. Be well.
Okay,
And,
good day. The rabbi's coming now.
yeah, it's coming now.
Give him a second.
Oh, okay. Morning, Rabbi Green. You're on mute, Rabbi Green.
Yep. Now I'm on.
Okay.
Okay.
How are you feeling? How is everything? Is
Doing
good?
better. I'm doing
Thank
better.
God.
Thank you for asking. Yesterday I had to call them yesterday to have somebody set it up on Zoom. I would have thought that they would have done it automatically, but they did not.
Okay.
I'm assuming that they're not finished davening yet.
It's 8:30. Usually by 8:30 to finish. No.
Well, that again depends. If Erwin was the only other one besides yourself who apparently knew how to set up their phone,
I see.
so I'm not sure what the situation is.
Okay, so we're on hold waiting for you to get the word or signal.
Well, no, if they did it, I mean, they should automatically.
Right.
Michael is not that technologically savvy, and unless sometimes they get reminded. So
Right. Okay. So are you doing it or Michael's doing it when?
Michael is supposed to be doing it again this morning
Okay.
because I'm still here at home.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that that I will get back to Shul as soon as possible, but we have to see.
Okay. If not, send Karen back and let her do the job.
Well, I don't know if she would feel comfortable doing it.
I think she's capable of any task you put
Yeah.
on her plate.
Not in Aramaic.
Okay. I'll do it in French.
Okay, looks like Erwin
Okay, I
connected
think
to audio,
we're coming up. Somebody give Michael a phone, I guess.
right?
Okay.
Except that I had to call them back and tell them,
Good morning,
you
Erwin.
got to put her on audio. You're muted.
You're muted.
Take off the mute, Erwin. He doesn't hear. He's got to turn up his hearing aid.
Is he home or in shul? Can you tell?
He's in Shul.
Looks like the shul ceiling.
I can, yeah, exactly.
Turn up the mute. Take off the mute button.
Mute.
Erwin Keller, take off the mute button. Yeah, he's on mute. Teddy, take off the mute.
Off the mute.
Just, yeah, the mute, take it off. Press the screen and look for the little red microphone in the corner. Press that. Erwin, the mute is on. Press the screen and look at the right-hand corner, lower right-hand corner. Press the red microphone.
I don't know if he can
I
hear.
don't think they,
Ted or Erwin, you're on mute. You've got to unmute the phone.
can you send them a message? Can you type in a message?
Yeah, I can send them I'll send them a text message, Erwin.
Either that or get me my phone and I'll call Ted.
I'm gonna try to send Erwin a text message.
I have Ted in my contacts.
Yeah,
Oh, my phone's in it. Yeah.
I don't think I have him.
Oh, let me see.
I just sent them the message.
Okay. It took them yesterday also, there was the same issue. Not yet.
Teddy, you know how to take it off mute? Touch the screen, look at the lower right-hand corner. Then press the microphone.
I got him.
You got who, Ted?
Mhm.
I guess you're not hearing the
Ted,
share.
It's on mute.
on mute. They can't hear, it's on mute.
He's got to press
In
the
the lower
screen.
right-hand corner, there's a red button, you gotta,
Do it.
he said they know that.
They're looking. You press the screen, you touch it. And go for the microphone, the red microphone, the lower right hand. Look for Erwin Keller. Look for Erwin Keller and take off the red. Press the red microphone. Yeah. We'll try one more time. I'll send them another text message.
I'll send Andrea,
Is she there already?
probably. 8:45.
Okay.
Andrea's gonna go in. Andrea's gonna go in. Andrea's going in. I'm going to take a shower.
I hear someone.
Aaron.
Huh?
Aaron Green, you hear?
Ted, answer your phone. It won't tell you, calling you to tell you what to do.
I heard Rabbi Green.
Yeah. Rabbi Green, I hear, but Erwin Keller's not on the line.
Andrea,
That's
They
it. So I just turned off the mute.
You turned off the mute?
You kicked in next to
Okay.
each
Yeah.
Have a sexual reference. I kind of have the feeling, you get it to work?
yes, it's working.
Same phone.
Yes.
Oh, no, I know.
Andrea
But I'm
turned it
gonna make-
on, the audio for you. Okay, you
Okay.
guys gotta get
Oh, hello, can you hear
technologically
me?
savvy.
Kenny, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
All right, I can't hear you, but if you can hear me, that's good. Okay, Kolda Amar, so he asks him, what is the word toeva mean?
Why don't you start
So-
off by telling us where you're starting?
Can't hear you.
Where you at now?
I did. We're now a few lines down on Nun Aleph Amid Aleph. I started,
We're
at-
10 lines down.
I followed your minug and I started at the bottom of the previous Amid. Okay, so my,
Rabbi Green, stop interrupting.
my toeva, what does the word toeva mean? So Kolda Amar Le Revi, Dahavenhu Toeva. So Rebbe tried giving him various explanations or interpretations of the word toeva, bar kapara, parcha bar kapara, and bar kapara kept refuting whatever explanation or translation into Aramaic, I guess, that Rebbe tried. So finally, Amalei Parshat, Rebbe got annoyed and said, you explain what it means. Okay, so Amalei Parshat, you tell me what it means. So Amalei Bar Kapara answers, Teise Devisri Tirmi Li Notla. I'll answer you after your wife comes and pours me a glass of wine. So the woman came, Asa Ramule, she came and poured wine for him. Bar Kapara drank the wine. Amalei Rebbe, and he replies, and he then says to Rebbe, come, Rakoidli, get up and start dancing in front of me, the Eimer Loch, and then I'll tell you. So, Hachi Omar Rahmana, and this is Bar Kapara's explanation. Here's what the Holy One meant to say. Toeva Toe Ataba. That he makes this a contraction of the three words Toe Ataba, which means you're erring in doing bia like this. So he says that's the meaning of tueva. So Lakasa Acharina Omerle. Now Bar Kapara wanted another glass of wine. So he says to Rebbe, my tevel. What does the word tevel mean? Now that often is translated as perversity. And it's the pasuk using the word tevel refers to a woman offering herself to a male animal. Okay, so Amarla ki inyana kadma'a. So Rebbe tried giving, and they're pretty much synonyms. So Rebbe went through the litany of all the explanations he offered for Toeva. Amarle Bar Kapara says, Avidly the Amar Lach. If you do what you did then, I'll explain what the word means. So Avad, the woman poured the wine, and Rebbe did a dance. Amarle Bar Kapara said, Tevel hu tavlin yeshba. Tevel, he says, comes from Tavlin Yeshba, that spicy sex. Mi shanya chadabiya min kulhon bios. So, and Bar Kapara says, why does the Torah make this form of intercourse different than all other forms of intercourse? No jokes about 4 cups of wine, please. Amarle, Bar Kapara then goes on and say, my zima. What does the word zima mean? Which is another word for disgusting or depraved. And Amarle, Bar Kapara says, Avid ki inyana kadmo, go through the whole business, do a dance, let your wife pour me another cup of wine, and I'll explain it. Avad the Amarle, so Rebbe danced, Mrs. Rebbe gave him more wine. Zemahu, he. It means this child. What is it?
Progeny.
Okay, Zima is where the pasuk says, "Do not set your daughter up to be to be a prostitute, because that's Zima." So, and the world will become lewd and disgusting. So, Zumahi, he says the contraction of Zumahi. Who, if a baby is born to a prostitute, you don't know who the father is. Okay, lo yachol ben alasha mispal. So the young couple, the brother-in-law of the Hussein, the Rebbe's grandson, and his wife got very upset at the way Bar Kapara was treating the shver. And kum nafiku the intase mi tama. So he got up and he took his wife and they left the wedding. Okay, so this is the second time we've mentioned him. So my Ben Alasa, what was so special about Ben Alasa? The Sanya, we have a brisa that mentions him. Lo chinam Pizar ben al Asa es Maoso, that he would go to a very expensive hairstylist and he'd get a very special fancy haircut that cost many times what normal haircuts cost. Ella laharos behen haspores shel kohen gadol. At this point, the Beis Hamikdash has been gone for several decades. And he wanted to demonstrate the way a Kohen Gadol would get his haircut by having a specialist cut his hair in the manner of the Kohen Gadol. Desiv, Kasam Yichsamu es Roshehem, they trim their heads. That's the pasuk referring to the Kohen Gadol's haircut. Tana, we have a brisa that explains ke'en lulyonis. The haircut was like a lulonis, whatever that means. So my lulonis, what does that mean? Omer of Yehuda tisporta yechidoso, an extremely unusual, a truly unique type of haircut that is extremely attractive. Heichi dummy, exactly how does it look? Omerava, Roshel shel zeb bitzad ikra ekaro shel zeb. Each hair is individually cut extremely short. So when it lies flat on your head, it just barely comes in contact with the root of the next hair. So it's like maybe like a buzz cut. Well, no, yours is naturally missing. Yours is specially trimmed like that. Okay, so in any event, Amar Rava, and Rava explained, Rosh Hashanah b'tzad ikaro shel zeh, the tip of one hair touched the root, just barely touched the root of the very next hair. Hainu tispores shel kohen gadol. So this fellow was well known for this fancy haircut. Okay, going back to the Mishnah, we had when you make certain kinds of vows, you are or not allowed to eat various foods. And the la'as charmutza, one of the items mentioned was a ramutza squash. And yet that day I said it's a soft squash. It's sort of like a zucchini. Gemara says, my delas harmutza, what exactly is it? Omar Shmuel, Kora Kar Kuzai. It's a kind of squash that in Aramaic is called karkuzai. Rav Ashi Omer, Delas Hatamuna Beremes. It's not a specific variety of squash. It's a cooking technique for squash where you bury the squash in the hot ashes at the bottom of the oven and you let it cook buried in ash. So we're going to challenge Ravina that disagrees with Ravasi, and he proves it. Esvei Ravina Ravasi, he challenges Ravasi and he brings a brisa. Rev Nehemiah Aimer, Rev Nehemiah says, Delas Aramis, a Aramean squash, he Delas Hamitzris is the same species as the squash called an Egyptian squash. Okay, now, and if you were to plant either one of those squashes with Yavonis, with Greek squashes, Kalayim im Yavonis. So they are sufficiently different that it would violate the halacha of Kalayim if you would plant two diverse brands of squash together. So, okay, and that Kalayim in Haramutza. And if you were to plant an Aramean or an Egyptian squash with a ramutza, that would also be kalayim. So this brisa says clearly that ramutza is a type of squash, not a cooking technique. Tiyufta, that upslugs Rav Ashi's notion. Okay. Hanoider. Going back to the Mishnah again, if you make a neder not to cook food cooked in a pot, not to eat food cooked in a pot, ein aser elava meiser resachta, you're only prohibiting yourself with such a neder to eat food that is simmered in hot liquid for a long time. Okay, like stew, for instance, okay? Now, what if you made a slightly different neder? And this time you use the word toem. We're going to see consistently toem, which literally means tasting, is considered a much more chomer kind of a neder. Omar kainem hayered hakadei ani toem. I am saying it's a koinem vow that anything that's put in a pot, I won't even taste. Aser v'chol hana'aser v'kedera, then you're not allowed to eat anything that is cooked in liquid in a pot. Tanya, we have a brisa, similar brisa. Haneider min hayored l'kedera. You make a neder. Anything that's put into a pot literally goes into a pot, descends into a pot. Aser v'yared la ilfas. It would also forbid anything cooked in a frying pan. Kafar yored l'kedera kaidem sheyored le'ilfas. Because they would normally blanch the food in liquid prior to searing it in a frying pan. So therefore it would be included in the pot prohibition. Min hayored le'ilfas, on the other hand, if you prohibit anything that's cooked in a frying pan, mutter b'yored l'kedera, it would, that neder would exclude. In other words, you would be permitted to eat foods that are simply stewed or braised in a pot. Okay, min hana'asa b'kedera, literally one that is, nasa is a passive form, and it means some other cooking process took place, and now after the finishing touches are cooked in a stew, in a pot. So for instance, you might brown a chunk of beef before you braise it in a pot. So if you use the word na'aseh b'kedera, mutter b'na'aseh le'ilfas, that would allow you to eat something even if it was first cooked in a pot and then finished off by searing it in a frying pan. Min hana'aseh b'ilfas, what if you said, I won't eat anything that's finished off in a frying pan? Mutter b'na'aseh b'kedera, even if you browned it in a frying pan first, if you finished it off in a pot, you could eat it. Yes.
What they translated here in the Korana stew pot.
So that's a pot.
But is that a fry pan?
No, that's a pot.
Stew, the pot. That makes
right.
sense. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Go.
Okay, a kedera is a pot. Okay, a stew pot is a good lashon. A Dutch oven would be another good translation. And ilfas means frying pan. Okay, now we're finishing up the brisa. Haneder min hayored l'tanur. If you make a neder, you will not eat anything that goes into an oven. Okay, ein aser ela b'pas. It's understood that what you're barring yourself from eating is bread and only bread. The im omer kol maser taner olai. But if you use the word kol, if you said anything ever cooked in an oven, I will make a neder I won't eat. Aser v'chol hana'asim b'taner. That was a much broader neder, and you would forbid yourself to eat anything cooked in an oven. Again, even if there's some other preliminary, like some people will sear a steak and then finish it in the oven, you wouldn't be able to eat that steak. Okay, turn the page, next Mishnah. Kivush means, actually has more than one meaning, but typically it means food put in a brine or an acidic medium for at least 24 hours. Now you could make, your wife may slice a cucumber and put vinegar and sugar, and that's just for a little brief period of time. And it might be considered kivush. That's why some people, for example, won't use any chemical to wash the lettuce on Pesach because they're afraid it's kivush. But usually it means pickled, okay? And that's a preserving technique. So min hakivush, if you make a neder, you won't eat anything that's pickled. Ein aser el min hakivush shel yerek. You're basically only forbidding pickled vegetables, cucumbers, cauliflower, all the kinds of vegetables that are pickled, but you would not, for example, include pickled herring in that neder. Kiva sha'ani toem. But if you use the word toem, even to taste, that is considered a far broader neder. And asher v'chol hakevushim, you would be barring any pickled foodstuff. So example, you would not be able to eat pickled herring. You would not be able to eat corned beef, any pickled product, okay? Man hashaluk, we've been using undercooked for shaluk. It's not raw, but it's not actually cooked. Some people order what they call a black and blue steak. That would be shaluk. So if you bar yourself from shaluk, eina asur elamin hashaluk shel basar. All you're excluding by that neder is rare meat. Okay. Now, on the other hand, if you said shaluk sha'ani to'im, I won't taste even anything that's shaluk. Asur v'chol hashlukim, that would forbid you from eating any undercooked food, fowl, or just blanched vegetables would be in that restriction. You know, some people like string beans very quick, so they very crisp. So you just dip them in boiling water, put them in cold water to stop the cooking, not 1,000 times. And that would be forbidden if you use the word toem. Amalei Ravacha, Berei de Rav Avia LeRavashi. So Ravacha, the son of Rav Avia, says over to Ravashi, Omer de kivish mai. If you didn't use the word kavush, but kivish, which means preserved foodstuff, okay, what is the deal? Or so you again, we've seen this before. The version of the word, or you have to figure out how people understand it, and he wasn't sure how people understood it. Dishlik mai, if he used dishlik instead of shaluk, what would be the rule? Ditzli mai, roast food, but he didn't use solely, he used ditzli. What would be the rule? Dimliach mai, salted food, food preserved by salt. What would be the din? Heichin mashma, how do you understand these terms? So, Tiboy, we don't know. According to the various poskim, some say we go lechumra, and they would be like toem, like the taste vow, and others say, but we just saw a distinction between eat and taste, and we would apply that here too. So we would apply it in a very limited manner, and that you have to talk to your competent Orthodox rabbi. Okay, next Mishnah, Minhat Sali. If you make a vow, now this time you're not saying min sali. You're not saying from roasted food. You're saying I make a neder, I won't eat the roast. So what does that mean? Ein aser element sali shel basar. You're talking about roast beef. The roast means roast beef. Perhaps on Thanksgiving, it would mean the roast turkey, the context, but in the normal circumstances, it's simply
something that you would normally
roast, which is beef. Okay, Divrei Rebbe Yehuda, that's Rebbe Yehuda's opinion. However, Soli she'ani toem, again, using the word toem, if you use the word toem in your neder, aser, the kol hatziluyim, you then wind up forbidding yourself from eating any food that's roasted. That might include roast potatoes, roast carrots, Anything that's caramelized in an oven or cooked in an oven would be forbidden. Okay, min ha-maliyach, from any food preserved with salt, ein aser ella min ha-maliyach shel dog. That is commonly understood to be fish that's been salted like herring. Okay, except we're going to have a problem between the word dog and doggo. We'll get there. Ein aser ela min hamaliach shel dog. That only refers to fish. Not yet. We'll see in a minute. Maliach sha'ani toem. But if you say any salt preserved food, I won't even taste. Okay, aser v'chol hamaluchim. That would forbid any food that is prepared in any manner where the salt is a greater application of salt than simply seasoning. If the salt is used as a preservative, you wouldn't be able to eat it. Okay, now, what if you said dogim sha'ani toyim? Fishies that I won't taste. Aser vehen min hagedailim and min hakatan. By using dog and dogim, you forbid yourself from any kind of fish, big fish like a tuna, little fish like an anchovy or a sardine. You've covered the gamut. No fish whatsoever. Aser vehen ben gedailim ben katanim, doesn't matter. Now, what if you, and it's ben meluchim ben tefelim, whether it's a preserved fish like sardines or anchovies or herring, or whether it's a raw fish that's like sushi. I'm sorry, any kind of fish. Now, ben chayim ben mevushalim, whether it's raw like sushi or whether it's cooked like you cook, any other fish. Umutter v'toris terufa ubitzir ubimurios. But you would be permitted to eat something called taurus, which is probably like tuna tartar. It's a large fish chopped up. And that's how they sell it. They sell it chopped up. Okay, and brined fish. You wouldn't be able to eat the fish, but you would be able to use the brine like as a seasoning in another dish. And the liquid that oozes from a raw fish, you would be able to use because the blood of a fish is not considered blood. Okay. Haneider min ha-sachatna. Taurus is chopped up, is a large fish that's chopped up. Kavilta fish.
It looks like you're saying just plain and juice, not any fish.
No. It's 3 items. Chopped up fish would be permitted if you bar fish. The brine in which a fish is preserved, like sometimes I use the pickle juice from a jar of pickles as part of a recipe. So maybe you could use the brine in which you made herring as part of a recipe, or the liquid that oozes out of a raw fish. 3 items. 3 items. 1 is chopped fish. 2 is the brine in which you cure a fish. And 3, the ooze that comes out of a fish. All 3 would be permitted because customarily that's not what you mean when you use the word dog. Taurus would be permitted. Taurus is translated chopped fish. Okay, but it's usually a large fish that's chopped, so I was thinking of tuna tartar, but you could be talking about a chopped up carp, and that would be to gefilte fish. All right, fine. Now, another mitoris terufa. What if you made a neder that you wouldn't eat gefilte fish? You want to use gefilte fish.
Safana.
So mutter bitzir murius, you would still be able to eat the fish brine or the fish oozings. Okay, we're going on to the Mishnah over here. Oh, wait, finished the Mishnah, going on to the Gemara over here, Tanya. We have a brisa. Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer Aimer, he says like
Skip the line.
dog sha'ani toem, if I make a vow, I won't eat a dog. Not a four-legged animal, a fish dog. Okay? Asur b'gedayelim umuter b'katan. So you would not be allowed to eat salmon, but you would be allowed to eat sardines and anchovies. Okay? Doga sha'ani toem, if you use the feminine form of the word dog, then asur b'katanim umuter b'gedayelim. You would be able to eat tuna, but you would not be able to eat herring or sardines. Okay? Doga sha'ani toem, if you use both the masculine and the feminine form, asur ben gedayelim ben katanim. That would exclude any fish, any kosher fish in any size and any preparation, including taurus. Okay, now, where do we get this distinction of dog meaning big and doga meaning little? Okay, Omerle Repapalabai, he says, B'mai the dog sha'ani toem gadol. How do you know that if you make a vow using the word dog, you're talking about a big fish? Okay, and so the answer is Diksiv v'yaman Hashem dog gadol libloya es yoina. God made a big fish, a dog gadol, to swallow yoina. Okay, so then how do you know a small fish is a doga? The implication is a small fish is a doga, but another pasuk in Mafter Yaina says, "V'ksiv v'yispalel Yona el Hashem Elohav, his God, memaye hadoga, from the interior, the kishkas of the doga." Which is, so now he was swallowed by a dog, but now he's inside a doga praying. So the Gemara makes a halakasha. That might not be a problem. Dilma palte dog gadol ubale dog cotton. Maybe the big fish spit him out and a smaller fish swallowed him. So he actually had two fish. It's a very fishy story. Okay, so the problem is that even doga may relatively be smaller than dog, but it's got to be big enough to hold Yona. So it can't be talking about a sardine, right? Ella hadoga asher biyavo masa, biyoer masa. And we're going back now to a pasuk about Egypt, where it uses the term doga, the feminine form, and the pasuk says all the fish in the Nile died. Now that meant big fish, little fish. If fishes do not normally thrive in blood, and the river was turned to blood. So that doesn't work. Tan and meso, gedolim lo meso. Gemara says, you're telling me the big ones lived and the small ones died? That doesn't work. Ella doga mashma gedolim mashma ketanim. Sometimes psukim use doga to mean a big fish. Sometimes psukim use the word doga to mean a small fish. Obenidorim, but it doesn't matter. We had this concept before. It doesn't matter what the Torah does in using various words. Halech acher lashon b'nei adam. When it comes to nidarim, we think in terms of the way people normally speak. Usually males are bigger than females. So using the masculine form dog connotes big, and the feminine form doga connotes small. Okay. Hanoder min hatzachna, etc. You prohibit tzachna. Okay. Omale Ravina Ravashi. Omar hare alai tzichin mai. What if a person says, I will treat tzichin the way I would a korban, meaning I can't eat it, right? So what would the din be? Boy, we don't have an answer. Okay, now this next Mishnah is very long, so we'll do this Mishnah tomorrow and we'll stop here.
Yes, okay, good.
So guys, be very careful on your vows, okay?
Thank you very much.
Very
Reb
good.
Mordechai.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Green.
Thank you.
So don't talk about chopped stuff.
Hey.
What?
I was reading the wrong paragraph when I was asking a question.
Oh, you skipped the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wedding story disturbs me. What was Bar Kapara? How can this China?
He was upset at not being invited.
Yeah, but he was invited now. If you force yourself to get invited, you're going to behave yourself.
For the next time, we'll know.